Good evening and welcome to this, our first Lekgotla for 2023. This time, as is customary now, is about the Matric results. And with us, we have three of our top achievers from last year's 2020 class of 2022. Just to give you some background, and perhaps in the audience, you would have seen the results on our social media feeds, etc. We had a 97% bachelor degree pass, which is, in my opinion, one of the telling parameters when it comes to judging the quality of results. An average of 2.38 per candidate. We had 244 A's altogether and 100% pass rate. So it is, in my opinion, by far the best Matric results that we have produced in the history of the college. And again, I hope that the upward trends of producing good results continue. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panel tonight. We have Mr. Bobby Warner, who is the head of GET phase. So he takes charge of the grade 8 and 9, and he's also in charge of the academics for that phase. We have Jamie Naidu, next to Mr. Warner. Jamie achieved 7 distinctions in the Matric results, full house of distinctions. Then we have Chifiwa Nemutsili, also with a full house of distinctions. And then we have Londiwe Rikotso, who's also had 7 distinctions, including being in the top 1% for English and life orientation. So we're going to have a panel discussion, and I'm going to hand over to Mr. Warner, perhaps to start questioning our panelists tonight.
Well, I'm going to start off with the obvious question. What do you attribute your success to?
I'd have to say, I've always wanted to study medicine, and the only way to do that is to put your head down and to do your work. I knew what I needed to do, and I knew I needed to study hard to get there. So it was with like my own head and my own telling myself that I need to work hard. That's how I got where I am today.
For me, I definitely say that having a goal, I knew that I wanted, to be honest, I didn't want 7 out of 6 distinctions. I would have been very happy. So having a goal and knowing what it is that I want, and I never wanted to be, like I couldn't reach a certain school because of my marks. I wanted to be able to have multiple options and be able to choose what I really want. So the best way to do that was to have the best marks that I possibly can. So I think those goals and wanting that made me work really hard.
For me, I think something that isn't really talked about is I was in a circle of people who worked really hard. And my mom and my parents always congratulated me on the fact that you have friends that do really well. And I think I attribute a lot of my success and almost like a healthy competition of wanting to do well because the people I surrounded myself with worked hard and got good marks. So it was like almost like something that we all wanted to do, and it was something that was encouraged within our friendship to help each other to try and do our best. And I think that's really important.
Thank you. One of the things that really makes me very proud when I talk about the success of the class of 2022 is the fact that you guys achieve what you have achieved going through 2 years of COVID. You started grade 10 in 2020 when we had such massive disruptions. The school was online and then offline and then online and then on site. And 2021 came, we thought it was going to be better and slightly better. We had a little bit more time of class time, but it was also very disrupted. And my question through all of this is, how did you change your approach to your studies in the midst of the pandemics so that you didn't miss in the foundations that you needed to actually succeed in grade 12?
I think for me, COVID, although it had a lot of negatives, I feel like the lockdown really pushed me. So I was someone who thrived during lockdown because I got into a very certain routine. And not that I regret it, I was someone who was extremely involved in school, things like debating, marimba, leaving school at like 6, 7 AP subjects, and all of that just disappeared. And I feel like I had the chance to really focus in on my work, and there was nothing. Sometimes I think the introverted side of me came out, the fact that I could just be at home and focus on my work. And I almost used school as like a distraction, basically. And I put all my energy into that. So I think that environment of things calming down, encouraging staying at home really helped me to focus on my academics.
Yeah, I agree with Londi. I also was, I think before the pandemic, I was very busy at school. After school, I would definitely be here. So I had that time to at least focus on things that maybe I felt I wasn't as comfortable with, things that like you would usually go to your ASPs. At least I had time to rewatch the video since they were recorded, a lot of them. And if I didn't understand, I could contact the teachers. And the fact that we were all online, we could all communicate quickly. And yeah, and also I think something else that helped was that I was in a home where everyone was very focused on work, and we had a time in the morning, everyone knew that, okay, we all have to do what we do on the usual, go to school, work, all of that. So at least having people who were also working, and I could see that they were working really hard, really motivated me to also work hard.
I think I'm very, very different to them. 2021 was such a difficult year for me. And I think just being at school and participating in water polo and all those things, it really helped me like get my mind off everything. So when we did go into lockdown again and we had to do school online and everything, I had to keep myself busy with other things. And I guess the school part, it wasn't really affected, but it was more of a mental health thing. And I had to go on walks, take the dogs for walks, and keep myself busy.
Okay. But there's this underlying theme here that I'm hearing from all three of you, which basically it's goals,
Yeah,
and it's routine, managing and using your time to the best of your ability. So with that in mind, did you need to put any mechanisms in place during COVID and the lockdowns and the loss of proper school? We were online for a large part of, 18 months, 2 years.
yeah.
What mechanisms did you guys put in place? Or was it just the healthy environments of your home, which were really routine in that?
I guess you can say that as well. But then I also had to plan out every single day, every single week, and just like make sure I stayed on top of things so that I wouldn't feel like out of control and everything. The way I work is I need everything to be planned out and put together in front of me so I can carry on. So that's something I had to do during lockdown, just to make sure everything ran smoothly.
The same as Jamie. I am someone who works on routine every
Yeah.
single day. So that part I didn't have to adjust all the time. I know that by 3 o'clock I'm done with school. I know that usually I need about 2 hours if it's a lot of work that I need to work through for assignments and stuff like that. 2 hours, so around 5 o'clock, I'm done with that. Then I would study for cycle tests and upcoming tests that were coming. I would have about maybe 2 hours. So usually by 7:30 I should be wrapping up my day. So that wasn't too bad.
I think for me, because in the beginning I did struggle a bit with the online aspect. I found myself waking up before school, and I would attack maths because I know Miss Payne would upload a video that you could just watch and do the work. So I'd wake up really early and do my maths before everything, just so I had the time to slow it down, whatever, so I wasn't late to lessons. So I think something that helped me was getting ahead of the day so that I didn't spend extra time on certain work or assignments that we'd get after video, just to make sure that I was on time. And sometimes that would benefit me because I could end the day earlier.
Okay.
I guess anxiety is very real, and I see it more and more in the pupils of today. They're anxious sometimes when writing something as simple as it is. So I hear that anxiety is obviously something that is very real. And I would like to ask you, did you experience anxiety during your grade 12 year, or even before? I mean, during the pandemics, and that it would have been understood because you were in an environment that was almost alien to you before, and you were trying to have to learn very quickly. But in my opinion, or my question here is, did you experience anxiety during your grade 12 year? And if so, how did you handle it? What did you do to cope with anxiety?
I think I definitely did, especially towards prelims, because I feel like this year was last year now, it was where life started coming back to normal and we were getting back to our old routines. So I had to kind of readjust. And now that I'm at school, I still have activities and I get home later. Everything would start later now because of the fact that, it's a new routine now. So I almost felt like I was behind, all the time, like I'm chasing the books all the time. And no matter what I do, I'm behind. And another thing that also I think made me a little more anxious is that obviously because now we're in activities, I went to soccer tour. So I had to study for prelims during soccer tour, and obviously that did take a bit of a toll. So during the prelims, I would experience a lot of anxiety, and I felt like, okay, I'm not prepared for these exams, but I can't not write the exam, so I have to get it done. And I would sleep maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and from what I've read, also lack of sleep makes it even worse. But I think also being open with my friends, I could see that even if some of them didn't go, they were feeling pressure too. They also felt a lot of anxiety. So I think not just keeping it to myself really helped me to do better.
I think with me, my anxiety, I tried to attack where my anxiety was centered. So for me, it really hit me in Matric because Matric comes with a lot of pressure. You have family, you have everyone around you saying, oh, prelims, results, applications, it's literally all on your shoulders. And I just sat down and I thought, what are you?
That word haunts us every day.
But for me, I just sat down and I thought about what are you scared about? And for me, I was scared of not succeeding. I was scared of not getting into medicine. I was scared of not doing what I was capable of. And then I thought about, so what can you do to fix that? And I think just focusing in on my work and being on time and actually trying to work hard actually helped curb a lot of that anxiety because the stress was with not doing well. But the only way to try stop that is to actually work. And you have to work. You just have to.
I also think keeping a close support circle, like the people you associate yourself with, they must add value to your life and obviously not drain everything in you. Because I'm a very, very anxious person and I experienced a lot of anxiety throughout grade 11 and Matric. And I think the main thing that helped me was it was actually my sister because I could speak to her and just keeping like a close-knit family with a few people that you can talk to, because if you talk it out, most of the time it gets better.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here on something you've just said, and you all very committed at school. I mean, Londi, with your debating, soccer, water polo, how did you balance what was extreme amounts of work in academics and then also participating in co-curricular? And at the end of the day, were your co-curriculars actually beneficial to you, and did they help you succeed or did they detract from anything?
I would definitely say that they did help me see that I am able to balance things in life. In the beginning, I was struggling. Honestly, you do have to sacrifice something. And I will say I sacrificed a lot of sleep. There were days that I didn't sleep. I'd come to school with 3 hours of sleep. And, even so with me in this class, sometimes I had to take that little quick nap just to wake up again. But in the end, now at least I do have the confidence that, you are okay if you're not studying. It's okay to be a human and go out and party, come back, but next morning be back in the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, I valued my co-curriculars because obviously playing tennis, doing debating, marimba, it took that stress off of me. But another thing it helped me with is I now realized because I'm at school until late doing these co-curriculars, when it's time to work, it's time to work. And even though it may not look like it, I did suffer a lot of the time from distractions or procrastinating. But when I realized that I had all these co-curriculars, I realized how valuable my time is. So it kind of helped me focus in on when it's time to work, I have to work because I won't have any other time to work. So it really helped me manage my schedule and my time.
I really valued all of my co-curricular activities that I did. It taught me a lot about myself, especially with water polo. Like everyone is just so anxious before games and like they're so scared and everything just seems to like not be going in the right direction. But it showed me that I can lead a team and, teamwork. It taught me a lot about teamwork as well. And I've always loved writing, and with drama, it helped me like see that I can write and I can write and it's nice. And yeah, but to keep up with all of that, it was a struggle and, sleeping. Yeah, but yeah, and I really love my sleep, but yeah, it was something that had to be done as well. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, I think if you go through school, having co-curriculars is part of it as well. You can't just be studying the whole time.
I think, Londi, you were talking about support structures and you were talking about your parents and how they facilitated when we went on lockdown, and your parents also, everybody had what to do and your support structure, your sister talking to you. Was the school part of that support structure? How did the school support you in the, oh, we had a load sharing flick now there. So let me rephrase the question. How did the school supported your drive to achieve what you have achieved?
I think the most valuable thing and how the school really supported me is a lot of the teachers, they see your potential and they push you to reach your potential. Even in times where you take a knock or you take something down, you could really, I felt for myself, I really could approach the teachers for help, and offering of help was something that happened almost in every lesson. Guys, if you need an ASP, come to me. If you have any questions, come after. So I think that support structure and that openness about asking for help, even if you are getting 90 or 80, there's always room to improve. And there was always that support from the teachers. So that really helped.
Yeah, and I think also the teachers understanding that we do have a lot of things that we also are committed to outside of just the classroom. So some teachers would offer even like classes at night at 8 o'clock. And I think something like that really meant the world to some of us because other teachers would not do that. So it was very valuable in our year.
Yeah, just adding to their point, the teachers were amazing and they were understanding, and then just like forming such a good connection with a few of the teachers as well. It can just make your time here 1,000,000 times more better.
Well, now I'm going to, many students are always sort of, they start running when they are seeing the final line, the finish line right there. I just want to ask you a question, and I want you to honestly answer me. When did you really start working? Was it from the time you started in grade 12? Or did you just realize in August, oh, the exams are here and you better start studying? Let's be honest. When did you start? When did you really start putting your foot down to start?
When I got to high school, I thought, okay, this is going to be a breeze because I did well in the prep. So then I got to grade 8 and I thought, okay, cool. First term came and I didn't do as well as I did in the prep. So I was like, oh, okay. Now it's time to put my head down. Okay. And I've been trying, but obviously not as much as I wanted to. When I did put my foot down was in grade 11, when I thought, okay, this is the year that my marks are counting. This is when I need to work. And that is when I put foot. Yeah.
I always did well. I won't lie. I did pretty well since prep school. We went to the same prep. So we all did pretty well in the prep. And when I got here, I didn't do as well as I did. But then I found myself in the top 10. So I'm like, okay, girl, somewhere there, But I wasn't that serious until, like she said, grade 11, where my marks actually meant something. Like, this is my future. But then people told us Matric is revision and you can do it. So I did relax a bit in the beginning. But the prelims, those marks and, they did wake us up. Like they do say prelims are meant to be harder. And they definitely did what they had to do just to wake us up. And definitely from the time that we left on the last day until the end of the finals, I worked really hard.
I think I agree with Jamie in that I started working really hard, much harder, I think, in grade 11, because it was that realization of these are the marks I'm applying to university. But I do think throughout high school, I did have that hardworking bone in me. Or I did have those goals to do well throughout the whole of high school.
Yeah, well, I recall, most of you being in the top 10 consistently from grade 1 onwards. So it's not really something that is alien to you to not to study and do well. I'm going to now come back to, your earlier years. When you were going to go, and perhaps Bobby would have liked to ask the question, and this is in relation to your subject choice. So when you had that opportunity to make your subject choice in grade 9, because you were going to start in grade 10, did you really know already what you were going to do? How did you go about choosing your subjects for the FET phase? And were you set on those subjects where there was no room for changing? Or so tell me about how your subject choice went in grade 9.
I had no idea what I was going to study. I won't lie. I thought, okay, maybe I'll go into engineering because my family is full of engineers, which is what she always calls me, the engineer. My whole family is full of engineers, but I had no idea. But I knew it wasn't my passion. It's something that I just was going to do because I didn't know. So I chose subjects that would keep my options open, like physics, of course, because physics, of course, does open some doors for you. So I kept physics, and I knew that I really enjoyed accounting. And I wanted one where I enjoyed it and had fun and didn't have to think too hard. And it was something that was just in me. And so I chose EGD. So that definitely, yeah, I just chose subjects that I knew I'm going to do well because I actually enjoy doing this. But at the same time, I'm keeping my options open.
I will be very honest. I wanted to be a doctor since I was like maybe 5-6 years old. And that's what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be. So when it came to choosing subjects, it had to be physics, it had to be bio. Not that I didn't want it to be. I really, really love bio. Bio was definitely my favorite subject, and Londi can probably agree with that as well. Londi and I, we really enjoyed bio. And then I chose drama because deep down, I actually want to go to Hollywood and become an actress. But that's a big leap. But I love acting. It is like my favorite thing to do. And I thought, you know what, if I can like put that into a subject, it's just, I'm so glad I got to pick drama as well.
For me, I started off and I hadn't chosen bio in the beginning because I was very discouraged because my bio marks weren't necessarily what I wanted them to be. But I had an inkling that I wanted to do something medical. So I chose maths, I chose physics, or obviously I chose maths or maths, sorry, I'm talking about physics. I chose physics. And I always had a passion for history. I loved history. Every lesson in history to me felt like just sitting there and listening to a story. So I chose something I love. And then I chose geography, which I also really loved. But during a holiday, something just clicked in me and I said, you can't just not take bio because your marks aren't good. So I came back and I completely changed. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try do geography as an 8th because I still love geo, but I'm going to do bio as well. And that was the best decision I ever made looking back, because now I'm going to university studying medicine that needs bio to get into medicine. And I'm thinking, imagine if I didn't do biology, I wouldn't have had that option at all. So it all worked out for me, but yeah, that's how I chose.
And the best part of my day was spending bio with Londi. It was the best subject. It was the best subject.
But what I'm seeing here is a healthy balance of the subjects you have to have, but
And
also bolting on some fun.
Yeah.
And those ones that feed your passion.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If going back, if I could take post-matric you and introduce post-matric you to grade 8 you, what would you want to tell grade 8 you?
I would scream at her and tell her that, listen, your marks are not the be all and end all. You can relax. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. And the world is not crumbling down and falling apart. You're going to be here tomorrow and everything's going to be okay. I would tell her to just relax.
I think I'm exactly the same with Jamie. And my sisters told me this because I had 2 sisters who'd been through the college, and one of them was here for some time while I was here. I worked like a robot in grade 8 and 9. For some reason, I cannot understand. Sleepless nights, working so hard. And my sister said, what are you doing? It's grade 8, it's grade 9. You are going to burn out. Like, there's no need for you to be putting this much pressure. Obviously, they're the building blocks and they're the foundations. I'm not saying don't take it seriously, but you can be a human being. You can sleep on time. And I think that's the one thing I would tell grade 8 me.
I would definitely tell grade 8 me that, you know, you are great and you are capable of doing things that have never been seen before. Because I think I always never really believed in myself. So I always used to get like the A's, but I never thought I could do better and reach what I did reach. So I think I'd tell her, just look at yourself in the mirror and see that you are capable of the unstoppable.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In grade 8, we had remember we did have that PBL season in grade 8.
I hated that so much.
Did you?
I hated it.
Okay, so one of the activities that we asked you to do during that PBL was create a little time capsule. And we kept those time capsules and gave them to you last year. Did you find that the person that was in the time capsule was the person that you wanted to be when you did that exercise in grade 8?
Definitely. We had that little letter that we wrote to ourselves.
Yes.
And I said, I hope you see how beautiful you are. And I was like, I really worked on my confidence during high school. And, you know, I looked at them like, yeah, I got that. So I was very proud of myself. Yeah.
Jamie, what was there in your capsule?
I think I lived up to the person I wanted to be, but I just think the person that wrote that letter and the person I am now, completely different people. Like, she was focused on her weight and her this and her that. And I just thought, you know what, this is too much. Like, relax, girl, relax. Anyways, but I did appreciate that time capsule. It really like brought back so many memories as well. Oh, I loved it.
Londi, what was in yours? Did you write a letter to yourself as
Yes,
well?
I did. I can't really remember the letter exactly, but I do remember one of the things I wrote was, I hope you got a white blazer.
Oh,
So I did.
Yeah.
And I put a bunch of pictures and stuff. And I agree with Jamie, I'm completely different to who I was back then. But I do think the person who wrote that would be very happy to see how
yes,
far I've come.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Brilliant.
Well, let's now start talking about the current matrics and the future matrics at the college. What advice will you give the current matrics? I would like to see the current matrics to emulate, to match perhaps the set of results that you have, that you guys have produced in the class of 2022. But in order to achieve that, what would you like to say to that matric class of 2023?
I would tell them that they need to put their heads down and work. Like this is the year. And I'm not even trying to be funny and be one of those typical parents that are like, no, you need to work. I'm saying, like, you have a balanced life, you know, take a break, do what you love, but this is the year, like, you need to make it count because you have your whole life ahead of you and you don't want to necessarily mess it up now because you're not focused this 1 year.
You can go.
Okay. I would definitely tell them that one bad mark doesn't mean you're gonna do badly. I think a lot of us would let our bad marks, you know, dictate how we're gonna do for the rest of the year. And honestly, I saw some really scary marks on the trick. But in the end, honestly, truthfully, you know, you get your portfolio marks and you see what you need to achieve. So have a goal of what you want to get. If you don't get it in your portfolio, it's still good. Just go home and study. And like you said, put your head down, you know, chow those books and you'll do well.
Chow those books.
I think some people might be discouraged in that they don't seem to think they have a natural ability or whatever. I think it's really important for people to understand that there's a way to work smart as well in high school. There's some subjects which did not come naturally to me. But when you listen to what the teachers tell you and you work smart and you find loopholes, like for instance with physics, 20% of the paper is definitions. If you're not that 80% student, if you can at least work hard and know all your definitions, that's 20% of the paper. Just having tactics and smart ways to get around things. You don't always necessarily have to be a genius in a certain subject. If you can think about and have your tactics and your way to go around the subject, you really can do well and you can succeed.
And, you know, just adding on to what Londi said as well, raw talent, it'll take you so far, but hard work, it'll take you further. So if you put your head down and you know what you want to do, you will get further.
I just want to touch on portfolios. Tomorrow night, I'm having a portfolio information evening like we always do with the parents and the grade 12s. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to ask you tonight is perhaps to tell the grade 12s that are watching us and their parents about the portfolio and how did you manage to do the best to produce that set of evidences that shows that you are the quality of student that you are, you know, right on time, because there is so many. I mean, we did a study and you do on average about 42 to 45 tasks, portfolio tasks that you have to submit in a year. And that is in a very short span of time, because remember that you have to take out from about July, the school has ended because you're going into exams and then comes a short period and then from there you go straight into prelim exams.
Every 3 or 4 days.
Correct. So tell the audience a little bit about portfolio and how did you manage your portfolios?
As much as I hated hearing the word portfolio and this is for your portfolio, I think they really help with your final marks, and it takes a little bit of the stress off, because if you do really well in your portfolio, you don't have to stress as much for your final, because I know for drama, portfolio was 50% and the final was 50%. I did very well in my portfolio, so I didn't need to, you know, cry myself to sleep when it came to the final. But you just have to stay on top of it as well. And usually the teachers give you a chance to redo your portfolio tasks. But the best thing you can do is to give your portfolio tasks your all and make sure you do them on time and don't fall behind with the portfolio tasks, because you don't want to have, like in the last week now, having to redo 6 portfolio tasks that you need to keep up to date with all your work.
Another thing I think is if you work ahead and you work on time, you can really benefit from handing in your thing to the teacher before to have a look over. And that's something I learned a bit too late in high school, but it really helped me once I started doing it, especially for subjects like history and English. Just if you work ahead and you do your work, and allo even, you can show it to the teacher and then they can give you advice. And then that gives you the opportunity to boost your mark. But the most important thing is doing the task when you get it. That is the most important thing. Don't think, oh, I got my geo portfolio task, it's due in 3 months, I'll do it later. It will catch up to you. I'm telling you.
It will catch up.
And your allo. Don't think allo's a breeze. Do your portfolio for allo.
Yeah. I was gonna say with what Lodi said for the portfolio stuff and also what she said, make use of those redos. And I feel like your portfolio is also there to show you where you come short. So there are things that, you know, you're not the greatest at, and that's what your portfolio is there to show you. So use that to your advantage. Look at where, okay, I need to work harder in this, because even if you don't do as well as you maybe had wanted to do, you can still use what the feedback that you got from your portfolio to do better in your finals.
In one sentence, what would you say to your teachers?
I love you and thank you for helping me.
You
were right. And I appreciate you so much.
I think the you were right one is a very big one because, for instance, with bio,
Mrs. Page, oh my gosh.
We suffered, but everyone said life science is so hard. Why did you take it? And we got our 70s, we got our 60s.
We had our fair share of tears.
And Mrs. Page said, just trust me.
You get the process, carry on, work. At the end, we finished with A's in bio.
I'm telling you, and it's not just bio, it's every subject. Your teachers know exactly what they do. So to all the teachers, you were right, and thank you.
That's true. I would say you guys do the unimaginable, because really sometimes it looks like there's no hope, and they tell you just believe in yourself. I'm telling you, you're gonna get there.
And that little word
and
just
and you're like, at the moment you're like, no, this is not what I was looking for, but it really does pay off in the end, like they said.
And to twist that round, you could say one thing to your mom and dad, your parents.
I appreciate everything you did for me. That would be what I would say.
I would say I hope I made you proud.
No, I'm going to tell my dad, thank you for shouting at me sometimes. I needed it. And I would tell my mom, thank you for being my shoulder to cry on.
Jamie, you mentioned something earlier that was also part of the briefing that I had for questions, and that is that hard work beats talent every time. So my question here was, for all of you, was it hard work or was it just talent mixed with a little bit of hard work?
No, I think it was hard work. It was hard work with maybe that much talent. I had probably that much natural ability. And I thought, if I want to study medicine, then I'm going to need to work hard. There's no doubt about it. I think there's no difference in intelligence from person to person, just how hard they work. Some people will work harder. Some people will obviously not work as hard. And I needed to be one of those people that worked harder to get into what I wanted to do.
I think for me, with certain subjects, I had the talent. Like for example, languages, with Zulu and English, I had that talent, but I worked very, very hard to get the results that I did. So I think if you are someone who has talent, the worst thing that you can do for yourself is to think, oh, I'm just going to ease through it, because you don't want to ever think to yourself, imagine how well I could have done if I had put the effort in. Yes, you might be very smart and you can get a 70 without studying, but that 70 could be a 90 if you put the work in. So I think it really is hard work, hard work, hard work.
Yeah, I agree with Lundi. I'm like the opposite of Lundi. I am not the best at languages, but I have a crunch for numbers. So
Yes, you do.
So yes, definitely I had to put in a lot of hard work into the languages side. And, you know, even sometimes I would put in the hard work and the marks still didn't reflect it. But in the end, it does, if you continue to believe in yourself and continue to see, okay, this is where I'm getting, you know, really thrust for real. Put in that work again.
So where to from here?
I will be studying for the next 7 years at Wits. That is a long time, but that's what I'll be doing. Hopefully, I can do my postgrad in the UK. I'm really hoping, and then hopefully some travel as well. Hopefully, depending on how much money I get.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to University of Cape Town to do a business science for the next 4 years. And then hopefully I can work and do my board exams and be a chartered accountant.
So I'm going to be studying medicine at Stellenbosch for the next 6-7 years. I'm hoping to stick around to obviously I have to do my interning and community service. And then I would like to specialize as well. I don't know where I'd like to specialize and then open a private practice. Yeah, that's my
We
plan.
must work together. That would be so cute.
Primary school, high school, separate for varsity.
And you guys even
Bring
have
back
the same
again.
birthday.
Back
How
to-
cute.
Yeah, and we have the same birthday.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Sifiwa, and thank you, Lundi, for being with us. Thank you, Mr. Warner.
No, thank you.
And I don't know if there is some questions from the audience. Say again. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I would like to thank those that are watching from home and our panelists tonight for being here and just giving some insight on how they achieved the results that they achieved. And hopefully that will stick with the pupils that we have this year in grade 12 and the generations of grade 12 to come. Some of you have got siblings that are at the school starting up now. And I don't know, maybe you will have a lot to share with them and how to make their journey through high school a little bit more bearable, I hope. Thank you very much for joining us. And if there is no questions, then we will close the Lekgotla and the next one you will be informed of. Thank you very much.
Night, everyone.
Good night.